Hello, welcome to another Retro Codes hardware review, and this is the Miyoo A30. Now you may be wondering, have I already reviewed this? And the answer is yes, I have. However, Mechdiy have sent over another unit, and this time I've gone and installed a custom firmware on it. Yes, that is something very unusual for this channel. We don't normally do custom firmware on devices like this. We normally review them out of the box, but I want to see if a custom firmware actually makes any real difference. So according to the official Spruce page on GitHub, you do get quite a few advantages over the standard stock firmware. For example, all emulators and cores are pre-configured with performance considered. That's a good thing. However, at the very bottom of the page, it does say this: Nintendo 64, Dreamcast and PSP. Consider these as a bonus. If any games play and you enjoy it, great. Don't expect these systems to run smooth again, bonus. So it looks like, even though they're on the official firmware as well, even with this updated firmware, N64, Dreamcast and PSP are not going to work perfectly well. However, all these things do. That's a lot. So we need to check those out. Now, I'll put a link in the video description down below for this firmware. Of course, that link may change in the future, and if it does, it's up to you to go and research it. And how to install? Well, I'll also link to this Droid X guide here, which is a very simple and very easy to follow guide on how to install the custom firmware, and believe me, it is super easy. So what sort of menu system do we have on this new firmware? Well, we've got a very basic one with favorites, games, apps and settings here. Going into the settings, we can see that not much has changed, although device intro now says Spruce 2.0. But besides that, pretty much everything is the same. Going into the apps now, that has changed, and I want to show you something that is a big issue with this firmware update. If we go into RetroArch, none of the cores are present. So for example, if I want to load up a PSP, so we go into the cores and I select the PlayStation Portable core, and then if I go to load content, we're going to actually search for the content. So this is a bit more fiddly than the official firmware from what I remember. Where's PSP gone? There it is, and I'm going to pick Castlevania ISO. What happened there? We're going back to suggested cores. Castlevania ISO, suggested cores, okay. And as you can see, didn't load, no core is available. So you may be thinking, no problem, we'll just go and download the core. Well, online updater, go to that, core downloader, go into there, and it just resets. You cannot download any cores. In fact, you cannot download anything. Watch this, it'll always reset itself. So let's go to online updater again. Let's see, content downloader. Click on that, resets. So you can't actually do anything with this. It is complete and utter bullshit when it comes to RetroArch. So that is a big downer. So basically we are stuck with everything that's in the games folder. Now luckily we do have a lot of options here. So let's take a bit of a look at some of the stuff that it says will not work and we should consider a bonus. And we'll go with PSP since that's what we're trying to run. And the good old favourite to test, Ridge Racer. This ain't gonna work, is it?
3, 2,
I can already hear the glitching.
go! Not bad. But don't let your guard down. 3 laps to go.
Yeah, you can hear from the music that that is not going perfectly well. Oops.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, look how slow that is. And it's stuttering like crazy. In fact, it's very difficult to play due to the lag. Okay, we'll come up to a famous stutter corner now. Man, it's difficult to play. Yeah, I think it goes without saying that that does not work. So let's get out of that. Okay, well, what about Dreamcast? Is that going to be any better? Well, let's take a look. And as usual, we will pick the usual selected game, which always craps out when an emulator is not powerful enough, and that's Ikaruga. Right, instantly we got some juttering. Yeah, just listen to that. Yeah, that is very slow. Yeah, that is pretty much unplayable. Alright, well, yeah. We cannot say that that is a good experience. So yeah, it looks like Dreamcast, PSP and Nintendo 64, which I'm not going to bother checking, are going to be considered a bonus. But let's check out some arcade action. Ooh, we got a nice selection of folders here. Now that wasn't on the official version. We've got hacks as well. Interesting. Okay, let's go with some CPS3, and we'll go with the good old favorite, Street Fighter Third Strike. Street Fighter 3 Third Strike, I should say.
Fighters ready.
And let's do a montage of different systems running on this device. So there we go, we took a look at a few games running on there, and all those games were working perfectly fine. Now, one thing that is interesting is if you go into an emulator and you press the X button up here, you can actually change the frequency of the CPU and various other cores as well if they're available. And as you can see, Dreamcast is maxed out, and yeah, doing any changes to Dreamcast or PSP isn't going to make any difference whatsoever. Now you may be wondering, if you install this new firmware, can you go back to the old firmware? And the answer is absolutely yes, you can. So let's just power this off by holding down the power button. And would you like to shut down? Yes please, press the A button. And once that's shut down, yeah, it's shut down. What we'll do is we'll take out the micro SD card, which has all the ROMs on it and the new operating system. Power the system back up. As you can see, the little blue LED has lit up, and this should now boot into the standard operating system. And there we go, it has booted up into the standard operating system. Now of course there are no games in here because the micro SD card is not installed and there's no games pre-built into here. However, if we put an SD card in it with games preloaded onto it, it will load up those games. So let's do that. So first of all, we'll go into the options here and we will shut down. Yes please. The little blue light should go out in a moment. There we go. So now let's put a micro SD card in here with some games on. Now I hope this has some games on it. Should have checked it out first, shouldn't I? Here we go. Let's just shove it in there. I have no idea what's on this micro SD card. Okay, and let's power on the device again. And here we go with the stock firmware, and we've got all our games. So let's just select a game here. Let's pick a Neo Geo Pocket game, and here we go. We are back in action. So yeah, you can go straight back into the old firmware. It's completely up to you. No problems whatsoever. So there you have it, the Miyoo A30 with custom firmware. Please do check out the video description for the links to buy your very own Miyoo A30 from the Mechdiy store. And also I'll have the links to the custom firmware and the guide on how to update the firmware. And remember, if those links do go down, it's up to you to find new ones. Please don't ask me. Till next time guys, keep on gaming and enjoy your games. See ya.